Long time ago, in Mount Olympus, where the Olympian lays, ruled a god named Jupiter and his wife, the mother of god and goddesses, Juno. While visiting the mortal world, Jupiter met a mortal Alcmene. Jupiter, known for his roving eye, couldn't resist the mortal Alcmene. Disguised as her husband, Jupiter visited Alcmene one enchanting night, leading to the conception of Hercules. And so Hercules was born out of trickery and divine. On the other hand, Juno discovered the affair of Jupiter with Alcmene. To unleash her fury, she tried to kill Hercules by sending two serpents. But Hercules wasn't any regular baby. He strangled the serpents before they could harm him. And from then on, the incident marked the beginning of Hercules' lifelong tension with Juno. Growing up, the queen goddess provoked and pushed Hercules into his limits. In a fit of madness, sent by Juno, he murdered his wife Megara and their children. And because he was consumed by guilt and despair, he consulted the oracle in Delphi. And as purification or redemption for his crime, he will perform a series of tasks known as the 12 labors of Hercules. First, Hercules was sent to the hills of Nemea to kill a lion that was terrorizing the people of the region. Hercules trapped the lion in his cave and strangled it. For the rest of his life, he wore the animal's pelt as a cloak. Secondly, Hercules was sent to the city of Lerna to slay the nine-headed Hydra, a poisonous snake-like creature that lived underwater. For this task, Hercules had the help of his nephew Iolaus. He cut off each head of the monsters, while Iolaus burned each wound with a torch. This way, the pair kept the heads from growing back. Next, Hercules set off to capture the sacred pet of the goddess Diana, a red deer or hind, with golden antlers and bronze hooves. Eurystheus had chosen this task for his rival because he believed that Diana would kill anyone she caught trying to steal her pet. However, once Hercules explained his situation, she allowed him to go on his way without punishment. The fourth task, Hercules used a giant net to snare the terrifying man-eating wild boar of Mount Erymanthus. Hercules' fifth task was supposed to be humiliating as well as impossible, which is cleaning all the manure out of King Augeas' enormous stables in a single day. However, Hercules completed the job easily, flooding the barn by diverting two nearby rivers. The next task was straightforward: to travel to the town of Stymphalus and drive away the huge flock of carnivorous birds that had taken up the residence in its trees. This time, it was the goddess Athena who came to the hero's aid. She gave him a pair of magical bronze crotala or noisemakers forged by the god Hephaestus. Hercules used these tools to frighten the birds away. On his next task, Hercules went to Crete to capture a rampaging bull that had impregnated the wife of the island's king. She later gave birth to the Minotaur, a creature with a man's body and a bull's head. Hercules drove the bull back to Eurystheus, who released it into the streets of Marathon. Hercules' eighth challenge was to capture the four man-eating horses of the Thracian king Ganymede. He brought them to Eurystheus, who dedicated the horse to Hera and set them free. The ninth labor was complicated: stealing an armored belt that belonged to the Amazon queen Hippolyte. At first, the queen welcomed Hercules and agreed to give him the belt without a fight. However, the troublemaking Hera disguised herself as an Amazon warrior and spread a rumor that Hercules intended to kidnap the queen. To protect their leader, the woman attacked the hero's fleet. Then, fearing for his safety, Hercules killed Hippolyte and ripped the belt from her body. For his 10th labor, Hercules was dispatched nearly to Africa to steal the cattle of the three-headed, six-legged monster Geryon. Once again, Hera did all she could to prevent the hero from succeeding, but eventually he returned to Mycenae with the cows. Next, Eurystheus sent Hercules to steal Hera's wedding gift to Zeus, a set of golden apples guarded by a group of nymphs known as the Hesperides. This task was difficult. Hercules needed the help of the Titans Prometheus and Atlas to pull it off, but the hero eventually managed to run away with the apples. After he showed them to the king, he returned them to the gods' garden where they belonged. For his final challenge, Hercules traveled to Hades to kidnap Cerberus, the vicious three-headed dog that guarded its gates. Hercules managed to capture Cerberus by using his superhuman strength to wrestle the monster to the ground. Afterward, the dog returned unharmed to his post at the entrance of the underworld. Thank you so much for watching our first hour stories and our story video, which is the life of Hercules. And there's more. If you're interested in listening to more stories of God and goddesses, then you should continue watching and listening because our next story is more interesting. You know why? Because our next story is about not just a goddess but also the goddess of youth. Her name is Hebe. And if you are excited, then I'm excited too. So let's go! After the 12 labors of Hercules, he continued other heroic deeds such as fighting for control of Mount Olympus, but eventually died after being poisoned by a robe smeared with a Saturninus blood. His mortal part was consumed by a funeral pyre, after which his divine part ascended to Mount Olympus, where he became a god, was reconciled with Hera, and married her daughter Hebe. And they had two sons, Alechteres and Anicetus. Hebe was the daughter of Jupiter and Juno, the goddess of youth, and she serves as the cupbearer to the gods and goddesses. Hebe serves nectar and ambrosia to the gods and goddesses of Mount Olympus. She had the ability to restore youth to mortals and was eventually replaced by Ganymede. For watching and listening to our videos, and now we are down to our last story for today's video. Okay, so if you are interested, don't forget to share, like, and comment. Thank you so much. There is a Trojan prince that everyone can't resist his beauty, that even Jupiter was captivated. His name was Ganymede. One day, while Ganymede was peacefully grazing on the mountains, Jupiter couldn't resist his beauty. Turning into an eagle, Jupiter descended from the sky and took him to Mount Olympus. There, Ganymede became the cupbearer of the gods in the place of Hebe, serving them the sacred nectar. But his role wasn't just to serve. He became the shining sensation star of the divine feast. He is the closest companion to Jupiter, but again, this closeness sparked the jealousy of Juno, and Jupiter decided to grant Ganymede immortality. He turned him into a star in the Aquarius constellation, forever floating in the sky. This act not only elevated Ganymede's beauty, but also strengthens Jupiter's absolute power, now able to change the fate of mortals forever. thank you so much guys for watching and for listening to our stories. And if you enjoy it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment para sa susunod nating mga stories sa Share Histories.